Right, so having a sharp, great knife is necessary to your carving journey, whether that's whittling a stick or carving your magnum opus relief scene. Very important that you have a good quality knife. So today we'll be looking at the Beavercraft, I think this is their largest knife set. It just came in the mail. And I only thought it would be appropriate to open it up with my modified Beavercraft knife, the $13 carving knife wonder of the Amazon world. And so let's do that. Looks like I'm a better carver than I am box opener. Okay, a little plastic wrap. It's a bit of a shoebox design. So, there's that. Alright, so we've got a nice little box here. Looks like they've done a good job with packaging. It's, again, reminds me of a shoebox with sort of a carbon fiber pattern on it. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so now we just open it up. Excuse the sound of my gate. Alright, so wow. This is my first time, of course this is an unboxing, so it is my first time seeing it. But that is actually impressive. It's a leather, looks like a full grain, a pretty heavy duty hide carrying case, so that's pretty nice. I don't know, hopefully you can clearly see. They always have the Band-Aid in here, which I love. Hilarious. Alright, so it's interesting to me that most of the knives are covered with this black plastic. And then two of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are covered with either tape or some type of foam. So I'm not sure if that's just the nature of the blade. Maybe they're more fragile. But this is a really nice construction. It's obviously all leather, real cow's leather, which at this price point, which I think at this point is $150 on Amazon, it's remarkable. It's a remarkable price. So yes, I am going to be testing this out, these knives out on this Basswood block. All right. Okay, so the first one. This is an interesting blade. It's actually kind of a skewed knife. It's a skewed detail knife. And it looks pretty nice. Let's give it a shot. It's remarkably sharp out of the gate. These knives tend to be a little bit thick. And that is something that I realized after working with it for a while. The thickness of that blade is pretty great, and it doesn't narrow, especially in this particular skewed detail knife. This is like an 1.5 inch skewed detail knife. It looks like it's consistently thick all the way through to the end of the blade until it gets to the very tip, maybe the last 2 millimeters, and where it kind of comes to a point. That's okay. Typically, you'd like to see them start to narrow out as they get towards the end of the blade, because their carving knife is a Scandinavian grind in that, well, for the most part, the blade is mostly flat ground. So that means there's not much of a bevel. It's all one continuous bevel. Whereas the detail knife looks to be, a bevel. So that's not as typical for a carving knife, and it's kind of a mark against it. But it seems to be razor sharp, so I'm not seeing a problem with that. It seems to be plenty sharp, so that's good. All right, moving on. This is a I don't know what handles these are. They look to be a hardwood of some kind. They look like they might be stained, so it's hard to tell. Someone mentioned maybe ash. I could see ash. It's possible. But they're kind of flat handles with a rounded sort of bevel in them. So yeah, I might do some modifying because they're kind of square, a little bit chunky. This looks like it's their version of a kind of competitor to the Mora. So it's a nice big, you know, Scandinavian, I guess it would be what would be considered a Sloyd knife as far as I understand. So it's kind of nice to have. And this too is cut with a bevel instead of a Scandinavian grind. So that is a slight mark against it. Again, continuous thickness all the way through the blade. Do some cross grain carving. We got to put it through the cross grain test because any knife can go through the grain, or with the grain rather, but can the blade go across the grain? Stink bug. And surprisingly, this blade is really making a clean end. A clean cut at the end grain here, so it passes. It passes that with flying colors. That looks awesome, actually. It's impressive that these knives come polished. All right, so this is a knife that I will see myself using. It looks like about gosh, a 3/4, maybe 5/8 inch skew. Skews are, to be honest, one of my favorite tools. Like, I would take a skew over a knife any day because it would allow me to do a lot of things with relief carving, which is kind of my first love. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the shape. It looks like the bevel's fairly short. I kind of wish that the bevel was a little longer. So Beavercraft, if you're saying this, that's my input on the skew. Just a tiny bit longer, maybe 30% or 40% longer, because that would make it glide through the wood a lot more easily. I can tell they made the tool very sharp. It's just there's a lot of steel here, so it's going to be resistant to pushing through the end grain. Yeah, there it is. It's so sharp, and they did a great job with the grind, but it's just a little too flat. Or sorry, it's a little too angled, in other words, so it won't slide through the wood. But a nice knife, nonetheless. Again, it has that similar, almost flex cut style belly with the kind of tapered end. So that's kind of something that we're used to. Probably will reshape these in the future. All right, so we've got, what do we have here? I really have no idea. It feels pretty long. Oh, wow. What are you going to do with that? This is, what is this, a 2-inch blade? Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Where's my tape measure? Oh, this will do. Yeah, it's over 2 inches. The cutting edge itself is 2 inches long. I guess some people like carving with longer blades. That's cool, but not for me. I would never really carve with a blade this long. It's sort of like the bushcraft knife. I don't see myself using it. Maybe if I was skinning a deer, I would try it out, but I just can't see myself using this long of a blade. Again, comes sharp. It's a fairly flat grind. Again, not a Scandinavian grind. It's a little longer than the bevel on the bushcraft knife or the Sloyd knife, but this is a fair blade. Nothing to be complaining about. It's good. Oh, and this is interesting. Okay, so we see a little bit of a change up in the blade handle here. It's a lot thicker. You can see this one's a lot thicker than the others, and it's rounder. It's more of a gouge type handle, and it looks to be a gouge, which is interesting that they put this in their knife set. This is sort of like a spoon carving gouge. It's scooped. So this is interesting. We'll have to put this through its paces here with a spoon project. But yeah, this is a great tool. It allows you to come in and hollow out the bowl of your spoon or your scoop. And so again, it has a bend in it. That's why it's called a scoop. It's scooped. And it looks to be, I'm going to say, number 8 curve. That's in reference to the curve of the gouge. A flatter gouge is a 1, more curved is a 9. So this is probably an 8 or so, 7 to 9, something like that. And yeah, it cuts cleanly. It's got a nice long bevel on it. Honestly, I'm impressed. This is a nice looking blade. It's got a bit of a V shape to it more than a gouge. So it kind of has a soft V. It sharpens toward the base and then flattens out toward the edges, which is not ideal. Probably, you know, a good starter gouge though. Yeah, it's razor sharp. I mean, it's absolutely, it's like cutting like a hot knife through butter. So hey, that's great. 8A14, so that must be in reference to the steel quality. That's a great gouge. Yeah, I like that. So that must mean we've come to one of our, I think I know what this is. I'm not going to spoil it. I think I know what this is. Yes! Okay. Now this is not what I expected. When I saw the ad for this, or the pictures posted online, I thought what I was getting would be something more like this sort of massive handle that comes with the hook knife that they sell on Amazon. I think this is like 20 bucks or so. But what's fascinating about this is it's, again, got that gouge handle, which I prefer to the thinner handles. And it's just a more comfortable handle size. I prefer this handle size. But it looks to be, by every other measure, about the same blade. It might have just a bit more of a curve to it. This one kind of curves down, whereas this one kind of, the larger handled one doesn't quite curve so much. But again, the grind is a short bevel, which I know is a downside for a lot of hook knife carvers. They want a flat bevel on both sides, but you could easily enough regrind this. The more important thing is, how's the steel? Does it come sharp out the gate? Yeah, once again, it's a sharp knife. Let's see how it does with end grain. It does well. I mean, it is sharp. You can tell though that it's a short bevel because it has a hard time wanting to move through the wood. All that steel, it's almost like a broad axe where the steel is so thick that it doesn't want to quite push through. That edge is resistant to moving through the fibers of the wood. When you thin that edge down, it wants to slide through those fibers. So because this has got a shorter bevel, you know, a really kind of maybe 2 mil or mil bevel, it's going to kind of resist, especially being that it's a thicker stock steel. This is a pretty substantial steel. I'm probably guessing it's almost a mil thick or so. But all that being said, it's a nice set. I like the handles. They're fairly ergonomic. A few of the knife handles I would modify. It looks like, again, these are inserted with a short tang. I'm guessing they go 1/4 of the way through. And there's just a bored hole in each handle that the handles are fit into. I'm assuming there's a little drip here. It looks like of epoxy or a glue of some kind. I'm guessing that these are just set in epoxy into the handles, which I don't have a problem with. That works. That's how a lot of great knife companies do it. Oh, and did we miss oh, we did. We missed a knife. This is the detail knife. So this is really basically the before to my black burned Sugiban knife, which all of a sudden I'm not able to find. There it is. So this is the Sugiban before and after, right? So you can see here that the handle is big. It's got this point to it, so it digs in your palms if you've got bigger hands. So I would modify this handle, but overall, you know, it's a great little knife. I'm surprised at the quality of it. And one thing they did that I like about this detail knife, again, 1.5 inch, is that it narrows toward the end. Because it's got that flat grind, it tends to be a little bit thinner than the others, and it narrows up as it goes to the peak. So that's going to make it a little bit easier for the edge, for the tip of the blade rather, to move through the wood. Look at that. See how that just slides through the end grain? That's what we're looking for. So they did a great job with this. I think this is still my favorite knife, and for $13, if you're looking to bypass this set, you don't want to spend the money on getting all these tools, you might not use them. This is a $13 knife with a flat grind, a really great out-of-the-box sharp edge, and a fairly ergonomic handle that can be modified quite easily with just a few minutes of time and a grinder or another knife. It's hilarious, though, that you need another knife to shape this knife, but you could use a bit of sandpaper or, you know, gosh, maybe scrape it against the cement outside. A little bit of sidewalk shaping. This is, yeah, it's a good blade. This is my favorite blade by far. And one nice thing about this set, turn the heater off, is it comes with some honing compound and a little cute strop. And also it looks like another spot for a pencil, which, that's cool. So the strap looks to be stamped with the Beavercraft logo. It's black dyed leather. That's pretty slick. I like the way it looks. Very, very cool. This is a blue compound. I'm not sure of what the, you know, grit, if you will, of the compound is. I'm not sure how much it cuts, how quickly it cuts, but it's a waxy substance. Let's see if we can... Heck, we could have just used the case that it comes in to strop, but it is nice to have a separate little strap, so let's test this bad boy out. Well, first off, I like that it's soft. I like that the honing compound rubs off on the leather quite easily. A lot of times you get these cheap honing compounds that they're just so much wax and not a lot of grit that they don't seem to be effective, and they don't want to come off onto the leather strap very easily. So let's try this out. Okay, so right away you can see that this honing compound is darkening, and that's a good sign. That means that the compound is taking metal away from the blade. You can see that dark side there. So that's a good sign. It means that it's doing its job. And yeah, that's pretty sharp. It's really sharp. Let's test it. I mean, you can't go wrong with a $13 knife that holds an edge pretty well, and that is just a decent little blade. So, all right, that's been the review. In conclusion, this set is definitely a go. I mean, if it's anything like the detail knife is, then, which I'm sure it is based on their practices, the blades are going to hold an edge fairly well. Maybe not as well as your highest end carving gouges. I would say overall, I generally prefer the profile and shape and just overall metal quality of the detail skewed knife from Flexcut. But gosh, this is less than half the price. And it's certainly not half as good. If anything, it's like 10, 20, maybe 30% less of a knife in terms of just the overall shape and grind. But it's amazing for the money, right? I mean, it's literally 100% less. So, well, math, 50% less than the Flexcut. So, I mean, you just can't be upset at that. You cannot be upset at that. There's the Flexcut detail knife. It's a perfectly good knife. You don't need the Flexcut. This is all you need if you're starting out. You're not sure if you want to get into carving. That's all. I could make this a lot longer, but we've made enough chips for today. Tested this set out. I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. The blades in here are really decent. In fact, I wouldn't say any of these are bad. None of them are bad. Again, the grind angles are my biggest issue with Beavercraft. they could really use to make a longer bevel on their hook knife. The gouge is perfect though in terms of the bevel width. The only thing I would change is make that profile a little bit more consistent all the way through. But again, you're talking about a set where each knife is less than $20 when you break it down, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So is that right? Yeah, less than $20, I believe, a piece. I don't know. Math's not my strong suit, but it's really reasonably priced stuff. And so you're really not going to find a lot for less. All right, everyone, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Take your vitamins.